drink from woods, take off. Life is good.
Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful land of Tennessee. Yes, rather dusty, warm, and dry this week. I love it. Yes, the home of Alvin York, Dolly Parton, John Sevier. Speaking of Sevierville, where Dolly Parton is, yeah, key figure. And well, American history, Revolutionary War history, Tennessee history, first governor of the state. So here we are in Tennessee. A lot of songs written about Tennessee, right? Kentucky, Tennessee, a few other states. But anyway, born on a mountaintop in Tennessee. Got the old Nighthawk Custom out today. Have neglected it of late. Oh, that's smooth. That's nice. And, you know, well, you know what? Come think of it, maybe it was a little bit subliminal. I fired the Prodigy quite a lot, and 9mm 1911. Maybe that was it, and I didn't even think of that. But I just down deep needed to get out a 1911 that's chambered in 45. Maybe that, and I just felt it in my bones without even thinking about it consciously. You know, intuition. Okay. Anyway, it's kind of neat. Blasting away those big 230 grain slugs around, slamming into steel, target, whatever, you know, hard to beat. So here I am, and it is the 25th, another Sunday, 143rd, right? Yeah, if you look at the target there, you can always see what the date is and the number of times I've been out here consecutively. Targets. How about let's shoot ballistall. Boom. And Talon Grips, great supporters of the channel as well. I shouldn't tell you this. Do as I say, not as I do. How's that? I was mowing the grass very recently. This bee sting still hurts, and I got stung by yellow jackets coming up out of the ground. You know how they do in the fall. And stung me on the back of the calf, and I didn't have anything handy. You know, I just went on mowing for a while and grinned and bore it. Grin and bear it. And, but I had a little ballistall handy there at the shooting table, and I just sprayed some of it on. I think it does have some medicinal purposes. I used to use it, I still might sometimes. If I get a tick stuck on me, I would put it on that, and it would kind of let loose and just pull him away. You know, didn't like the feel of it or whatever. I'm not recommending any of that, okay? But it's just that, you know, I'm just weird, all right? I'm just weird. So I do weird things like that. I do, you know, I was thinking the other day, it's a miracle that I'm alive and fairly well, I guess. I have abused myself in so many ways. I used to wash my hands. I used to do a lot of painting in the summers and as a part-time job and everything. I would, and back then we'd use a lot of the oil-based paint more so than the water-based paint. And I would use gasoline to clean brushes. And I'd wash my hands in that stuff. I just wash my hands in, you know, get the gas out. You know, like every day painting at the end of the day and stuff. And you know, things that a lot of people won't even put mineral spirits on their hands, you know, or you know, things that are milder than that. I've kind of gotten away from doing that, but there are better things to do. But as I've said before, you know, you've seen all the memes and the jokes about people that grew up drinking out of a water hose and everything. I think there has been probably some benefit to not being babied so much, you know, things like that. You can do your own research on germs and viruses and all that kind of thing. Even if the social media platforms don't want you to, and they don't want the truth. We found that out a couple of years ago whenever doctors, virologists, or whoever would come on and have a video talking about viruses and the transmission of them and how they transmit and all the bacteria we have on us and all that, and how healthy it is. It helps build the immune system. They're like communists. Yeah, you know why? They're like commies trying to overthrow the country. Horrible people. You know why? They were just pointing out facts about how the body works, biochemistry, and that kind of thing. But we can't have that. We can't have real science. We can't have truth right on social media. We got to have the narrative, whatever that is, or is preferred, the preferred narrative, right? But how do I get on all that, you know? But anyway, bottom line is, you want to take care of yourself, but you know, we seem to be designed as human beings, animals, to be out in nature and have nature on us. Maybe getting stung by a yellow jacket is even beneficial, even though it hurts like the dickens. Who knows? We don't know everything. There might be something in the venom or the poison or whatever, bugs bites and things like that, that they're irritating at the time, but maybe they help with our immune system. Who knows? I don't advise going out and lying down on a yellow jacket nest. I think everybody thinks any yellowish looking bug is a yellow jacket. Not necessarily the case. These are the ones you see around this part of the country. They nest. I don't know if I've seen a nest. I think that maybe they build an actual nest, like kind of like a wasp does, right? But they do it down in the ground most often, and they come up a little bitty hole or something, you know. And at this time of the year, in the fall, that's when they're most likely to, I don't know, to be there or to come out and sting you. I don't know why. Well, they don't like lawnmowers. They came out and stung my wife a few weeks ago, doing the same thing, same place, you know. But I was mowing, no, I was weed eating. I had a place 5 acres out in Williamson County, south of Franklin, on Coleman Road for, I don't know, a couple of years back in the early 80s. And I was way back up behind, there was a log cabin behind the cabin near the tree line. And I had bush hogged that hill, and I was, I had a bush hogged because I did not own a bush hog or tractor at that time, but I think I had someone paid them to come and bush hog it. And I was up there with a weed eater around lumber or whatever it was, and oh man, they came out. It was about this time of the year, and you can't see them. It's not like they have a big hole. And they came. I even saw them coming out as I was getting stung, and boy, they stung me on the back and legs. Excuse me. It was not fun. I probably had like 10 stings or bites, whatever they do. I went running down the hill so fast, threw that weed eater down, and I have a pond way down below there, about 100 yards away. I was below the house. I was ready to jump in it if I had to. I didn't outran them. So what else did you want to know about the insect world or the bee world? So yeah, this is a cool gun. This Nighthawk Custom. It kind of falls under one of those things. If you consider yourself very lucky, like I do, and there's a particular type of firearm that you adore to some extent, it's nice to have a really nice one, you know, in that pattern. And it's also nice to have some average ones, even junkers maybe if they work. You know, you don't have to worry about nicking them up or anything. It's nice to have some that were actually used in World War I or II, you know. So I am a very lucky human being, and I realize that. And this is one of my firearms to prove that. It's a Nighthawk Custom. Now, as I told you, John got me for Christmas a few years back, and I'm drawing a blank on the name. The revolver, that we've never done a video on, that the British used, double action revolver, famous. Oh, it's so famous that I'm drawing a blank on the name. I want to say like Cragley. What the heck? Oh, isn't that something? Hadn't crossed my mind obviously in a while. But anyway, it's one of those. And and it's nothing but trouble. And it break is a top break like a Schofield, you know, and broke the hinge on the thing and the bushing and all this, and took it to a gunsmith. Took forever, and they finally made one, a new piece, and then it didn't work finally, or well, just had a lot of issues, and finally. It was actually Franklin Gun Shop where he bought it. Franklin, they're out of business now, but they took it back and gave me a trade-in. You know, basically what John had paid for it. So that'll come to me before the video's over. It almost came to me. I had Bisley hit me in the head, but it's not Bisley. So you all will know it. And 1,000 people will comment. So they got me right, and I traded in on this. So this is basically my Christmas gun right here. It was a little more expensive, but this is my Christmas gun present from John, really. At least half of it. I don't know which half, maybe the slide. You know. They do a good job. Can I shoot it again before I yak at you some more? And then let's see, I might be able to get to, yeah, I think I can. I figured out a way to, I kind of miss a laptop. When I'm bouncing around, you have several screens open, all that sort of things. Sometimes it's harder to do that with a phone, but you might, yeah. In fact, John's comedy schedule tonight, he's at the Comedy Bar, September 25th in Chicago. So everybody run to Chicago, and then October 7th and 8th in Chattanooga at the Comedy Catch. 7th and 8th at the Comedy Catch, and let's see. In the Grove, Lowell, Arizona, November 3rd and 4th. And I'll update you later on that. But in Arizona, at Lowell, Arizona. I'm not sure I've been to Lowell, Arizona. At the Grove, okay, November 3rd and 4th, okay. So, yeah, can I shoot this again? I think I pulled a mag out there that had Jim Boothus left in it. Oh, just put a freshman in. How's that? 45 ACP for... any of you youngsters or inexperienced shooters, that's what the bullet looks like, the back of it. There's the bullet. Let me hold it up there. There we go. I forget. You know, we have new shooters wander into every video. Maybe it's just 8 or 10, or maybe it's 1,000, but I probably don't show some things I should, or emphasize some things I should. So. Not that I know everything, but it's a little bit like your geometry teacher or algebra teacher, you in high school, that taught the same subject every day for 30 years and then couldn't understand why you didn't pick it up right away. You know, it's so simple. Well, yeah, it is. If you are mathematically inclined and then you've been teaching this for all your life. Okay. Boom. Wow, so accurate. Look at that, same hole. Pretty amazing. All right, Kentucky, this is yours. Oh yeah, I'll put that, hollow points. You guys aren't worth hollow. Well, you are, but I don't need to shoot hollow points over here. That's my carry magazine. You notice certain guns, I have a carry mag in there with hollow points, and I have to take it out when I'm going to target shoot. Right, cowboy? Yeah. Mr. Gong, what about you? Yeah. Yeah, I knew that one had it. Yeah, if I hold about two-thirds of the way up and level it out, it's going to pop it. How about you, pig? You need to be popped. Yeah, good old 1911. They are interesting, and they never die. You know, speaking of new shooters, new people to firearms, you might be all wrapped up right now if you're just getting into firearms, just at old enough maybe. You just turned whatever, 18, 21 or something, 25, or you just picked up the hobby and you're 55. And you love your M&P polymer pistol or your Glock 19, whatever it might be, and you're just getting into it, and boy, you're learning to shoot them, and they don't have interest, time, money, or something maybe to just expand beyond that too much and everything. But ignore all the hate for various firearms, not just the 1911, but others. Uh, Embrace it. Embrace these other firearms. Learn about them. Learn about the history of them. And you might want one just as a target firearm at some point. And because of the history, the rich history. How many firearms have a richer history, longer term of use, in this country at least, than a 1911? It was the service sidearm for 75 years or something, and still by probably some unit somewhere. But just man, the history, like an AK or something, or the AR, even M16, like the rifle I had last weekend, the Kentucky long rifle, or those early Flintlocks. Those were around the state of the art for hundreds of years, of course. So history is a big draw for me. Just always, now if it always has been, but it's a big draw for me. It really is, and I know for many of you, I can tell. What else is going on? Anything? Well, yeah, I heard this week our president said the pandemic is over, and that's good news. It's been over for me for a long time. I know most of you. I was wondering, like in your medical community where you live, if they're still playing the masquerade game, though. They are here in Nashville. They are. So, unfortunately, and as I've said before, I guess the medical community will be the last to give up on some of this. They like this kind of stuff too much. Really, they do. I don't care how smart they are. There's all kinds of doctors at Vanderbilt. They're a lot more brilliant than I am, of course. But that doesn't keep people from being idiots, does it? Really, it doesn't. We've learned that. Hanging on to their narrative, their politics, whatever it might be, being afraid of their own shadow, and I've just had a lot of experience off and on, and heard doctors speak. I used to make my living drive around talking to doctors and nurses in the medical publishing world, but I'll never forget cutting my finger with a chainsaw years, 1980. 79, 80, I guess. Fall about this time of year, 1980, I guess. And I remember the doctor he was just railing in the emergency room as he was sewing up my little finger about how just chainsaws be banned, it shouldn't even be allowed, et cetera. And when I had my bicycle accident, I had a kind of a dislocated something. Well, I forgot what it was called. It wasn't all that bad. I didn't have good use of my arm. It hurt, for a while. A something. I forgot what it was. It wasn't shoulder. It wasn't my collarbone, but and it wasn't my head. I didn't hit my. I've been bicycling all my life. I've never landed on my head. If you had worn a bicycle helmet, when I was 12 or 20, you'd have been probably arrested for who are you doing? What's wrong with you? Are you insane? Are you trying to impersonate somebody? But anyway, I fell on my shoulder. A dog ran out, or that wouldn't have happened. Ran out and wrecked me. Big dog. So back to the story. But anyway, the same deal. It's like bicycle. I mean, it was just railing against the bicycle and the dangers of bicycles. I mean, not everybody, but so many medical people, doctors and nurses they would just, if they could be the dictator of the world. They would ban like ladders, of course guns, right? Single shots, anything. They would ban those. They would ban ladders and motorcycles and bicycles and chainsaws, knives. What else? It's dangerous, as we move around living. Car jacks to jack up your car. You can't be doing that. People have been hurt. Somebody's been hurt. I've seen somebody have a car fall on them. I've seen somebody cut their finger badly with a knife. They should not be. That's kind of their, many, not all, but their mentality. I wonder why. Because they're in that business. It's like if I'm in the business of patching tires, okay? I might have a skewed look at the world of tires. Wow, tires are really not very durable. It just seems like everybody needs to get a hole plugged or something. Hey, you reckon maybe it's because that's your business, and everybody that happens to have a get a hole or flat, they come to you, you know? So anyway, yeah, the masquerade continues. Uh, I've been on a few short trips I've talked about up north in Kentucky, and land of Kentucky, Friendship. Gosh, I don't know if I talked to you since I went up there. I don't know, I'm losing track of my times. We've been over in East Tennessee, been up to, was in Kentucky this week again, and was up at Friendship, Indiana. Yeah, I guess I did since I got back. Yeah, I ran into so many of you up there, and it was good to meet you and see you. And I don't know if I mentioned I was at Culver's in Florence, Kentucky. I stayed in Florence when I go up there usually. A lot of family in Boone County. And I ran into the neatest couple in Culver's there in Florence with, well, their kids are what were so neat. It's funny, I was sitting there eating, and I saw this family pull up and get out of the car. And 4 kids, I mean, they must have been ages, like, one was pretty young, running around, but, you know, maybe, I don't know, 5, 6. And the others weren't much older, but they went on up to maybe 8 or 9 or something. And I think it was 3 boys and a girl. The youngest one, I think it was a girl, if I recall. But when they rolled out of that car, that whole family, they were just too cute for school. They were so cute. Yeah, some kids are just, well, most kids are cute if you like kids, but some are not necessarily, you know, cute. They were the cutest kids. Came in there, and then when you know it, they recognized me, and then they wanted pictures and everything. So we went out in front and got pictures just with the kids. You know, it was neat. But anyway, good to meet you all. You know, good to meet you all. I'm a hopeless case. I enjoy kids. I enjoy dogs and cats. Rattlesnakes, no, not so much. But you know, kids, unless they're obnoxious, they're kind of like, you know, golden retrievers or dogs, you know. The good ones are the ones that have been raised well, right? So anyway, what else? Can I shoot again? I got a couple of mags I loaded up to shoot this thing. I have not shot this firearm enough. I think we have a chapter 2 on it. I'll be posting before too long. But I just have not run. It's one of the huge negatives of having so many firearms. You know, you don't get to shoot one of them all that. And it's not a negative really, but it's a fact, you know, kind of. Remember back in the day when you just had 1 or 2 firearms, and you went to the range maybe every weekend, and you would just shoot that Model 19 Smith & Wesson or that Glock 23 or 19, whatever it was, and you just shot it a lot. And but then as you accumulated more firearms for some reason, probably watching videos, right? You know, then you have your entertainment spread out a little more, right? Kind of like back when we had 3 channels on TV. Now we have 300, you know, and it's all junk, right? Mostly. All right, 1911. Love you, 1911. You know, and I don't recall this thing ever malfunctioning. You might. I don't, you know, video or anything. Or out of a video. I don't recall it malfunctioning. It's just, I think I'd remember it too, because this gun is not supposed to malfunction, right? Highly tuned. Made by one gunsmith from beginning to end. Just smooth and sweet, no doubt about it. 45 ACP. You've heard me talk about bullets, how we emphasize the size of the bullet too much and all that. There are way more important things than that in defensive situations and all that. But it is fun to shoot big bullets. I just always liked it. Hence the 45, right? If I counted how many 45s I have, well, you might not be surprised, but I have a lot of 45s. Whether it's a Colt or 45 long, 45 Colt cartridge, duh. Okay, sometimes referred to as 45 long Colt or 45 ACP. Or what, 45-70. What other 45s do I have? Is that it? 45 ACP, 45 Colt, 570. Feel like I'm forgetting something dramatically there, but I don't know. And a lot of 44s, of course. 44 Special, 40. Now I do have some 45 Schofield rounds, and I have a 45 Schofield, but it chambers 45 Colt. The originals were chambered in 45 Schofield, a little shorter cartridge. I have had auto rim. Is that it? Auto rim, yeah, auto rim, which is kind of one of these with a regular rim on it. You know, it came about because there were so many of the 1917 revolvers, you know, Smith and Colt from World War I and II, that was at Remington, I guess, came out with the auto rim, and basically it's like a shortened 45 Colt kind of deal. It's that cartridge kind of with a thick rim on it. So you can take it out and shoot it just like any other revolver, 45 Colt, 357 Magnum. You don't have to use the moon clips. Okay. I had a 625 I used to compete with in the late 80s, early 90s, and I got some brass, and I loaded some 45 auto rim. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And I found that I was loading it. I think all I had to do was change out the shell plate on my Dillon 550B, and I'm not sure I even had to. I remember being pleasantly surprised. I didn't have to get a new set of dies, I don't think, or maybe I did just have to get one die. I don't know, but I was able to convert really quickly and load 45 auto rim, you know, and loaded for a while. When I sold my 625, I threw in the ammo, I think, and some of the brass with it, because I just, well, I'm probably had my fun with this. I doubt I'll ever need that again. But that was before I ended up with the military revolvers, you know. So, but and that stuff's hard to find. It's expensive if you find it. You know, you're not going to find auto rim in a, you know, like probably in hardball like this, and some kind of bulk pack, inexpensive. You know, it's just not going to happen, I don't think. So it's fine to shoot this stuff in those revolvers. You know, both of mine, chambers on the case mouth, and they come out easily. You can punch them out with something, not a big deal. What else do you want to know about? Well, we turned 7 million subs. Someone asked me if we were going to celebrate. Yeah, I guess we don't celebrate as much with that. We celebrate every day getting to shoot for a living, but it is great to cross another barrier. And main thing is just we keep posting, and hopefully people come back and watch. You know, a lot of people subscribe and never come back, of course. They saw something they like, but, you know, so it's mainly, I guess mainly if I had a wish when it comes to subscribers and all those sorts of things, we don't talk about that much, would be, I guess, that everybody makes sure they are subscribed, and they, whatever, ring the bell, whatever you have to do, and they, I guess, come back, you know, and not wait for videos to be suggested. I guess that would, you know, even if we had half as many subscribers, if people would just, you know, pay attention to whether or not they're subscribed or not. Because I see all the time people get unsubscribed and make comments that they didn't know we were still doing videos, and, you know, it's like, wow, where have you been, you know, and all those things. So, you know, you can't trust the algorithms and social media. It looks like if you're doing firearms stuff, you're definitely not going to be pushed to the top or be recommended, you know. So anyway, we'd like for people to just keep up with what we're up to. And there you go. So I hope you did enjoy the Prodigy, the video. You know, I didn't realize that people were having trouble with them. Some people, apparently, I saw in comments. But that's the way it goes. As I've said, there were people, sometimes we'll get a gun and it'll malfunction or break, or like a Colt Python or whatever it might be. For other people, it does fine. It just depends, and vice versa. Sometimes a firearm will work just fine for us, but not for other people. You know, so you're always just looking at one sampling. You know, whatever it is, as we keep saying. You know, with one gun, it could be any, you name it, any firearm out there. even something that everybody thinks is junk. I could put it on this table, make sure it's lubed, and shoot it 1,000 times. It might not have a problem. And by the same token, it could take a firearm that doesn't give anybody trouble, really. Put it on this table, make sure it's lubed and ready to go, and shoot it 30 times, and it might hang up 4 times. So it just depends on the individual copy, of that gun, that individual firearm. Because even an expensive firearm like this that's supposed to work every time, it's a piece of machinery, and the people that built it, are you ready for the news flash? They are humans. Yeah, thankfully. And maybe they had a bad day and got something wrong on a firearm that normally, works. You just don't know. You just hope it can be fixed, whatever that might be. Let's put a bullet in the middle again. You want to? Yeah, to make that hole bigger. Maybe pop that gong again. I'll make sure I know where to hold. Yeah, see if I can hit that the turkey over there. Oh wow, I love that sound. Oh yeah, good old 1911. If you've never fired one, what are you waiting for? Okay. If you've never owned one, what are you waiting for? Hopefully you're working on that, and so we'll see how that goes. And I didn't mention the spamming. My gosh, that's just as bad or worse than ever. I'm not seeing as many of you like trying to write to me or leaving comments or whatever about the meaning of some of these stupid spam messages, where they copy our usernames and it'd be some weird thing. I mean, I've seen a bunch of them today, even just this oddball stuff, Hickok, something Hickok 455, just different things that try to fool you. Text me or go to WhatsApp or go to Telegram or go to these places I don't even know what they are. And and I see it for other users too, and with other names that are well known in the firearms community or other communities. Some names I don't recognize, so they just spam that stuff all around. And I've noticed they reply. It's mostly in reply to a comment that you make. Hey, it makes sense. That's what they're trying to get your attention. So it's like trying to make it look like I replied to you to contact me, to text me or something. And it hurt. It's funny. It's like I got stung again. And I have noticed that if there's a comment, the way it works, it looks like, if there's a comment that someone's already replied to, I guess they're using some kind of automated system to reply to everybody. So I know that it's not some one person probably just cutting and pasting, copying and pasting, because I may do it 100 times. If someone's already replied to your comment, then you are not likely to get one of those spam comments. I've noticed that. Or if you look at a comment and then there's like 4 replies to it about it, and none of them are the spammers, you won't see a spam comment, one of these fake things. But if there's whenever you see one, it seems to be the only reply to that comment. Not that means much or helps, but anyway, just to, obviously ignore it. Most of you do, 99.9%. So that's I don't know how that gets stopped. Somehow, I don't know. I don't know how it gets stopped. Someone's got a way to do that, to reply to whatever 100 or 1,000 comments and pop that on there. So you just have to ignore it, of course. So that continues and probably will continue. We'll go with that. I'm enjoying the Flintlock you saw me out with this week. Shot some more this week. And I guess I changed the flint. I think last week after you all left, I shot it some more, and the flint broke on me, which happens, of course. You've got to have spare flints, and placed the flint. And what else have I done? Well, I'm not going to do anything to the rifle. It seems to work. I shot it some more. John shot it some, and we figured out even better where to hold, I think. And I'm not going to do much with the sights. It seems to be pretty much on, and fun. I am so pleased to be back in the Flintlock world, because I've been a bad representation, or I've just been a really bad ambassador for Flintlock rifles in my life because of that brown Bess. Again, I blame a lot of that on the lock, on the brown Bess, some of it on me, because I knew I wasn't that bad. Obviously, it's something about that, and I shouldn't be that bad with a flintlock just because they're harder to shoot. But I've got a long way to go with this one, even though it's got a faster lock and it's easier to shoot, easier to hit something with. You still, it's a discipline that you need to work on, and it's fun. It is a lot of fun. So hopefully in your life, just as well as experiencing one of these fine pistols, you get to experience a black powder muzzle loader at some point. And there are lots of ways to get into it. A lot of people that get into it do it just so they can hunt. They have more of they can take advantage of the hunting season. Okay, extra hunting season or whatever. Hunt places that will only allow black powder or whatever. I'm not aware of all that. I know it's changed through the years. I know back in the early 70s, I think, it was the muzzleloader organizations or whatever lobbied the game organizations or whatever in various states. They thought if they could get an earlier week to hunt, if you kind of like bow hunters, start the deer hunting earlier or something if you're shooting a muzzleloader. And I don't know if there even were any like inline modern muzzleloaders, 73 and 4 when I got into it, but that's all changed now. I'm not sure, but a lot of people get into it just so they can deer hunt another week or two, or different places, whatever that might involve, and they just want a rifle, a stainless steel with a composite stock, a scope, or whatever is allowed, so they're not interested in the tradition of it, which is fine. Whatever somebody wants to do. But I came to it just from the beauty of those things. I went out to the Owl Hollow Gun Club in 74, before that had been 74, and old Charlie Hafner and people were shooting, old Charlie Hafner, I don't know if he ever shot anything but a flintlock, and he was always trying to get me to go that route, but he got me into black powder, so I always thank him for that. Sorry he's not around to see me shooting a flintlock, because he would always give me a hard time for not shooting black powder muzzleloaders, when I got to the shop where he worked. And and you need to get rid of those old-fashioned cartridge guns and shoot a real gun, flintlock, whatever. And so I went with the cap lock, the Hawken, and got there shooting. And of course, that wasn't good enough. He would give us a hard time about shooting cap locks when we should be shooting flintlocks. And he'd drag his out and shoot it, his flintlock, But he was a character. He's like a mountain man for sure. But anyway, he got me into that, and I always appreciate that. I might never have, if it hadn't for him and his personality, ever discovered the joys of muzzleloading. But as I was going to say, I was attracted to the beauty. There were a couple of guys there shooting that day, I'll never forget, and they had Thompson Center Hawken rifles. You're all familiar with those now, right? And even though brass was maybe not, it was pretty uncommon, the brass furniture mountings, on a Hawken rifle, they're still beautiful. Everybody pretty much admits they're well made, and they're really nice looking guns, and brass always looks good on a muzzle loader. To me now, even iron, I like the iron mountings almost about as well, maybe better. It just depends on the gun. But shiny brass, mountings is not as original or authentic, but I mean it can be. There were a lot of brass mounted rifles made, but anyway, I fell in love with those things. I just loved the half stock. You know, I just thought it looked better than the full stock at the time, and that's cool. Wasn't familiar with those, and they were like 50 caliber or something they were shooting, and bigger bore, and so I talked to him, watched him. I think one of them let me shoot his, and so I got hooked out there at the Charlie Hafner range behind his house, and I hope you get an opportunity sometime to enjoy that, because you would. I mean, every one of you might not. That's just a fact, you know. Just like anything else, you know, some people are really into cars and working on engines. It's in their blood or something. They have a knack for it, or they have this strong attraction to boating, you know, or they just love horses, you know. And none of those things I mentioned am I enamored with. I like boating just fine. I've been out on boats with people, even fishing. I like horses just fine because I love animals. But I don't have that. I'm not just crazy about horses or crazy about boating and fishing, skiing, you know, or working on a car engine, you know, those kinds of things. So it's kind of like that. You either have a gene for it or you don't, I guess. But sometimes you don't know. You don't realize, and of course you can develop an affection for some hobby or a job or anything. You just have not had the experience yet. Yeah, that's, I guess, the sad thing. A lot of people will go through life, and there might be something that we're not even aware of that would be just our cup of tea as a career. I mean, we just don't know it because we didn't get exposed to it. We don't live in an area or part of the country, or our parents have no interest. There's just nobody around here who does that. Whereas if we did get even a sniff of it, we'd just, oh man, that's what I want to do, you know? So you don't know unless you try something lots of times. So I encourage you to, if you're watching this, you must have some interest in firearms. Other than the thousands that watch just because I'm so handsome, right? They're intelligent. But so you may be down deep, a Daniel Boone, and you don't even realize it. Yeah, you really might. So, and kind of where I am, as I've mentioned before, I go through spells, and I enjoy, you know, muzzle loaders, but now most of the time I'm not shooting a muzzle loader. There's other firearms I like, maybe a little more, but I do like those, and they have their place. It's messy, but that's okay. I love the mess of the black powder. I love the mess of this modern powder. I love the mess of a 1911, like the feel of a 1911. Hard to beat. Same old deal. You might never have even held a 1911. You're so new to firearms. They fit your hand like a glove. Like I don't even have to look where I'm shooting. Yeah, I do. That was a joke. But they just feel like $1 million. Especially one like this with a great beaver tail and trigger and all that. And you just almost shouldn't mess with them. Yeah. I should have been able to hit even in the middle of a sneeze, you know? Yeah, they're sweet. So many interesting firearms, many of them fun. And I've not given advice to young people, so maybe I should do that before I get away. What did I have a note about something? Something came to my mind this week is young people. In today's world, it's tough out there. Don't let people make you feel guilty for where you grew up or your privilege or whatever that might be perceived to be or anything like that. You have no reason to feel guilty at all, really, for who you are, unless you're just a bad human, okay? Unless you're an arrogant snob or whatever that might be. But you have no reason to feel guilty about who you are or whatever advantages you've had in life, right? Life is random. Life is random. I could have just as easily been born with one arm and no fingers on the other hand and never fired a gun in my life. I could have died in childbirth. I could have been hit by a car when I was 18 and paralyzed. I could, so many things about life are random. Catch a disease. Any of us could catch something anytime. Be hit by lightning or whatever. I was born in kind of a middle class family. I could have been born in poverty. I could have been born in extreme wealth. I could have been part of the royal family we talked about last week, right? Nobody should feel guilty about how you randomly came onto this planet. And when it comes to privilege, one thing I like to bring up is I don't remember being privileged about anything. I remember working a lot. My dad working all the time, even my mother working a lot, and she managed a cafeteria, a local school, different things like that. She was even in the military during World War II. She managed a mess hall at Fort Knox, kind of thing, and had skills in that area. And but mainly with all the kids, she was a homemaker. But I worked, in the tobacco patch as a kid on the farm, putting in hay and taking care of the cows, the cattle, the calves. And in the summers when we lived in town, I'd work in construction or paint all summer long. I don't know. The privilege that I had, I always like to say, was ambition privilege. I'm not the most ambitious person in the world, but there's such a thing, I think, as ambition privilege. Some people appear to be privileged and get a little further in life. Why? Because they're not lazy. They have some ambition, They're gifted with the gift of ambition, or maybe creativity or talent or whatever it is, or a mix of all the above. But don't feel guilty about that ever. Don't let anybody make you feel guilty. Often it's the people with no ambition or some other agenda wanting to make you feel guilty. Just you are you. You're just as good as anybody. You're no better than anybody, but you're just as good as everybody else. And all the silly stuff that's going on in society today, it's got to come to an end. It's got to come to an end. There's no hope for this country or this world, really. It's been upside down long enough, don't you think? I'm fortunate where I live and in the country, and I pretty much do what I want, and I stay away from the idiocy. I'm not, fortunately, I'm not in a corporate environment anymore of any kind, even educational corporate. Not a lot of difference. You get all the same silliness. I'm away from that 10 years now. I won't be back into that ever. So I won't have to face the stuff that you have to face, a lot of you, unless you're totally independent and you have your own company maybe. Then you can take care of that, prevent that stupid stuff from coming in there. Be very careful who you hire when it comes to human resources. You don't want that illness to infiltrate your company. But so I'm kind of out of that for the most part, I have to live with a lot of the stupidity out there, but not nearly as much as many of you who are in your career. You're starting your career. You're trying to work your way up the ladder with some company or whatever it is, get something going. It's tough, but we got to get some common sense back into the world, and it's each of us as an individual that has the responsibility for making sure that happens. Whether you're the lowest person on the totem pole at your company, or you're a low-level manager or supervisor, you're middle management, you're vice president within that company, you run that company, you're the CEO, you're the financial officer, whatever you do, all of us are responsible for reversing this idiocy that we're seeing, okay? And not going along with it. That's where it starts, being willing to speak up when you're around that conference table in that meeting and somebody has a suggestion or somebody says something that just makes no sense and you don't want to appear unwoke or something, or racist or whatever it might be. We all need to speak up, and nip this. Well, it's not nip it in the bud. It's already in bloom, unfortunately. We got to whack it down to where it's gone. So that's my advice, if that meant anything. Kind of shoot again. All right. Good old 1911. This one's not stainless around. I don't think it's stainless. I think it's just carbon steel, just carbon steel. These days, I always double check that when we're reviewing, quote unquote, a firearm, because often they appear to be just carbon steel, but it'll be the finish, nitrate finish or whatever, nitrite finish, and it's a stainless steel slide, maybe a frame as well. So, okay, let me take a couple more shots here. Let's pepper that paper a little more. You want to? Oh yeah, how about you, cowboy? Yeah. I like cowboys. I shouldn't be so hard on cowboys, should I? Yeah, that's kind of a remnant of my cowboy action shooting days. I enjoyed doing that too. I've done a lot of different kinds of shooting. I enjoyed it all. Long range metallic silhouettes and cowboy action shooting, the Glock matches, GSSF, IDPA, IPSC, USPSA, backyard shooting, whatever. I've done a lot of it. As I said before, it's not because I got too old to do it. I always feel like when I talk about that, back in the day when I was a youngster, I used to do that. But I did pretty well in all of those. But I, like so many of us guys, especially, I think we get all eaten up in some new activity, and then we kind of burn out on it. We go hard doing it for a year or two, and looking for something else. And I guess that's kind of what I did. And just bounced around lots of different types of shooting, and fortunate enough to have my own place to shoot. So, and then with my interests being so varied, so many different kinds of firearms, like I've told you before, in a shooting breeze or somewhere probably, that I would be at a weekend match somewhere, and waiting to shoot 3 hours down the road before I'm up to shoot again, or whatever it might be. And I was like, I could be home, or I could be enjoying my 45-70 lever gun right now. And here I am trying to compete with a 38 Super, and trying to get my time down a little bit, on this stage or whatever it might be, and I don't know, it was a little too focused, for me. And people used to tell me that, I could have been, a lot better. The sky was the limit and all that kind of thing. If I'd really taken it more seriously, I guess. But I don't know. I could take it pretty seriously enough to do pretty well, but not really seriously, and really work on it like that draw. Okay, because I know people did it. They go take courses and everything, still do, I guess. To cut off a 1/10 of a second, on their draw stroke in their first shot, and their split pairs and all that kind of thing. And I don't know, I just I couldn't get into it at that depth, that level. So a lot of people do, and that's why they're so good. And they can shoot so fast. I wasn't even interested in that in the cowboy action shooting. My favorite guns, maybe, especially now. And I shot duelist, one-handed and everything. But I mean, you see people shooting a single action, boom, 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 as fast as I can shoot this thing, and hitting targets and everything. And the people have worked and worked and worked at that, and gotten so fast that they just don't seem like real cowboys. I don't think Wild Bill Hickok or Wyatt Earp shot that fast, or it has almost become unnatural. They're so quick and so fast with it. So that's kind of a weird criticism, right? It's like, what, you paint a picture so well, a landscape so well, that it just doesn't seem real. Okay, I'm rambling. I need to get out of here and let you be on your way. And anything I forget that you're dying to know about. Anyway, do check and make sure you're subscribed. Come back, and we're happy to cross that 7 million mark. And but we're mainly just happy to be able to bring you firearms on a regular basis, old ones, new ones, or whatever, and continue enjoying the hobby, and inviting you all along. Really. That's one of the biggest benefits is you're kind of witnessing me as I evolve and always have in my shooting endeavors. It is almost like a reality show, I guess, in some ways. Uh, I don't I don't go looking for guns to create a video with, really. I mean, it's sort of, want to keep a flow of newer guns and different things that you're interested in, because I'm interested too, to shoot and show you and review. But but the other side of that, probably the larger side of what I do, is simply my interest in firearms. The same reason I have all those 45-70s and single shot rifles and muzzle loaders, and my revolver love, and all the firearms I've enjoyed shooting, collecting, since the 70s, and it just continues. Just like I just had to pick up an Anaconda, as you've seen, because I become enamored with some of these firearms, and I want to own some of them and shoot them. And now I'm finding that I enjoy a Flintlock rifle and learning more about those, and the Kentucky rifle, so to speak, which is really Pennsylvania rifles, and for the most part. But that history associated with them and how they're made and all that's just really, really interesting. So all these areas of shooting have been out there for a long time, and it's hard to explore all of them, but they're all interesting in their own way. And many of you have discovered that your primary interest is something maybe a little different than what I do, or your buddies do, shooting buddies. That's just a sign of how diverse the shooting sports are, really. There are people who love to shoot. They might shoot more rounds than I do or you do combined, but it's every weekend shooting skeet, or shooting trap, sporting clays. And they take 300-400 rounds every weekend to a range somewhere and shoot sporting clays. They don't even own a handgun, maybe. So lots of different areas. So I have pontificated enough. I'm glad you came by, and I hope you're enjoying the fall. At least it's fall here in Tennessee right now, kind of, into September. And it's warmish, maybe unseasonably warmish, I guess, a little bit, but it's not as humid as it normally is in the summer, so it's pretty nice. My favorite time of the year, the fall. A little drier usually, and gets pretty, but fewer bugs. Maybe a bee that'll sting you, but it's just not as buggy, maybe not as ticky. But I still take precautions against ticks up until about November, because sometimes you'll see them around here late in the year, because it doesn't get that cold usually till after Christmas, as far as being really cold. And you'll be surprised, might be early November or something, you're out, you kind of forget about them. You don't spray at all. You're out in the weeds or somewhere in the woods, and you're like, what, a tick in November? It's kind of not common, but it happens. So I'll let you go, and take care of yourselves. Glad you come out to watch, and I expect you to be seeing whatever the heck we're doing this week and last week, right? Life is good.